Welcome to the Armstrong and Getty Show. Craig, the Obamacare expert, brought in pastries and coffee, and I needed a giant 1,000-calorie scone like I needed a hole in my head. But
yeah, thanks, Bubba.
I have now eaten it, so what are you going to do?
I'm trying to nibble on mine. I'm trying to make it last. I'm trying to do what Rob Ford likes to do with his office help. Make it last. Yeah. Sorry. If you haven't heard the latest Mayor of Toronto revelations, we'll get back to that later. So Obamacare,
and I was asking you. So since what you do for a living is helping out, companies, people deal with this, and you have to try to predict the future. What do you predict is going to happen? What are you telling people you think is going to happen next year, for instance?
It may not be snazzy, but I'm not changing my prediction all that much from what I said to you guys back in July, which was this thing's going to crumble. Big parts of it are going to go away. The individual mandate and the employer mandate are going to go away. They're not going to be there because they're too politically damaging. And if we think the Obama administration's freaking out now, imagine what he's going to be doing next year when his party has to go into elections. So I really, truly believe those elements of this law will be suspended or repealed. But you're not going to get rid of some of these things we've had lingering onto the law, like prepaid preventive care. They say it's free preventive care, but it's never free. It's always just prepaid. We increased your premium so that you don't have to pay a copay when you go to the doctor and cough.
Right.
So keeping your kids on the plan until they're 90, or 26, excuse me. These things will stay because they're the cheese that's been given out. Getting these people that are on the plans now, you're of course not going to kick them off. You're going to have high risk pools because these people are going to be 2 to 3 times the cost of their premiums with their claims. So this stuff will stay, and there will have to be some kind of comprehensive legislation that comes in and wraps this up, because what's going to effectively happen is the 55% or so of taxpayers that do pay federal income tax are just going to have the burdens of Obamacare heaped on them eventually.
Right, because the thing is, the things you described that aren't going to happen, the individual mandate, the employer mandate, guarantee that the thing will collapse of its own weight because it will have too many high-risk individuals and too few low-risk individuals.
Right.
And then it's already written in the law, for those who haven't heard our previous conversations with Craig, that the taxpayers will bail out the insurance companies that take horrific losses when the thing tanks. So then it becomes just an enormous taxpayer-supported entitlement.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes? Okay.
And I'll tell you the other thing I'm telling clients, Jack, because you asked, is, and I'm changing this. I'm changing some of this advice right now as I thought about what's going on. Those of you who hire me and prepare early are probably wasting your money. I think the lesson we've seen with yesterday's announcement is early preparers get screwed.
Oh,
I say that because if you are somebody who and like the insurance companies who've prepared for 3 years for this, now all of a sudden they get this heaped on them in the last hour. So they're in trouble. The employers who were relying on the employer mandate, who were actually reducing employee hours and doing the things they had to do to prepare for 2014, back in July, the carpet was pulled from under them. They were screwed.
Right.
And you've got the individual mandate. The people that were planning on buying health care have now found out there's 21 different exemptions to the individual mandate. So if you were an early preparer and you were ramping up to buy your Obamacare, you were lied to.
That's what happens when the government starts tinkering in the private sector. It reminds me of I knew a guy that ran a car dealership, and he had seen all the problems coming when the automakers were in big trouble, and he had prepared for it with his inventory and everything like that. He was ready to go, and then the government stepped in and did a bunch of things and threw money this way and closed down dealerships, and he ended up getting screwed because he had prepared the way you would think in the private sector. And in that case, preparing was the worst thing you could do.
Well, and for our younger listeners or those who don't think about this as much as we do, let me bring it all to a kind of a main point. There is no business with this sort of an uncertainty going on that's going to expand, that's going to hire people, that's going to have a dynamic plan for the future. They're all scared, they're uncertain, they're just waiting for the next shoe to drop of the centipede of government. You cannot have a dynamic growth plan in an atmosphere like this. Now, the big government types will tell you, no, it's okay. We've gone back to the drawing board. We got all our best and brightest old, what's his name, Emmanuel, and the president and our gurus. We're going to figure out how to deal with this. We'll fix this. But by the time that fix comes in, half a dozen more problems will have arisen. The fix will not only be out of date, but probably ill-advised, and you will see an enormous sector of the economy crumbled. And it's as inevitable as the sunrise, which is what's so frustrating for those of us who are fans of the free market. So, God dang it, I don't know what to do. Axe handles.
Yeah, now the early adapters are going to be the ones screwed. The other one coming that we've talked about before is that Cadillac tax that hits in 2018. In 2018, if you have a plan that costs more than X, you're going to end up paying a 40% tax on all the dollars over that amount.
Whoa!
More than half of businesses in California are going to hit that tax level because of the fact that our premiums are so high here. So, and again, that's not adequately adjusted for inflation and so forth. But you've got unions.
Unless you're, you were just getting to it. Unless you're among the politically favored who've gotten exemptions.
Yes, there will be some exemptions to that. And the fact that it's in 2018 instead of 2014 is because the unions got it pushed out that far originally. They said, look, Mr. Obama, we can't sign on with your law unless you push that out. Mm-hmm. So the idea was to push it to 2018 because everybody knows that's going to be a horrible situation. But you see rumblings of it now, but I'm telling my clients, look, don't even worry about that. Don't think about that. That will be repealed or changed. It's too damaging.
So before we wrap this up, for individuals listening right now, because we've gotten so many texts and tweets, and I like the people who have gotten in the habit of, sending us a picture with their iPhone of their cancellation notice that they got their insurance canceled. What should they do? Should they call every day? Should they wait? Should they feel like things are going to be okay? Or
for the individuals that have private policies, it's really tough. I mean, if you work at an employer like you guys do, just hope and pray your employer doesn't cancel your policy. But for the individuals out there, they are, unfortunately, now, especially in California, they are at the subject of that website and that exchange. There's nothing they can do otherwise right now. I wish I had better advice.
Get on the exchange.
Yeah, you got to get in there and do it.
But if you go on the exchange and sign up for insurance, and then your company, the company that you're with, comes back and says, we will keep your policy, what happens then? Can you?
Well, you would take that choice. You would absolutely do what you can do. Now, there's I brought in the regulations for what they released yesterday, and it's ridiculous and long, but effectively the insurance companies have to send out a very complicated letter. They got to give you 2 weeks to review it. You have to then accept the offer to the letter, mail it back by U.S. mail. You won't have that policy by January 1. It'll be something you get February, March, and it'll be retroactive back to January 1.
Yipes, that'd be a mess.
It's going to be an absolute mess
to deal with.
Yeah.
Well, under the best of circumstances, dealing with this stuff is a nightmare for a lot of us.
We got to help you if you got a deal like that and you're having a baby in January or something.
You know, I had the thought watching the news, because we're about out of time, but I was going through my recorded newses last night. Is that a word? And I hit NBC News, and sure enough, they led with, "This is insane. This is chaos. Yeah. This won't work." And I had this glimmer of hope that this is an object shiny enough to hold the attention of the American people long enough for them to realize what is now being said, even on the left, and actually even among former Obama administration types. Bureaucracy can't do this. It can't move quickly enough. It's not good at it. This won't work. And I just pray the American people hang on to that and listen to it.
Well, see, it's an election year, so the message is going to be hammered over and over.
And the difference we have with the other scandals is this is personally affecting people that are very angry.
That's what I've been saying. You can get over Benghazi and IRS and all that sort of stuff if you're not a political person. But if all of a sudden you don't get to take your kid to the doctor they like, you're going to be thinking about that all the time. You're pissed off. You're pissed off for a long time.
So,
that one's inside of your house.
From disaster will come a silver lining.
Well, who knows? Who knows what will come out of it?
Or some sort of civil war, Cormac McCarthy, post-apocalyptic death in the streets and cannibalism.
See, that's what I'm predicting. That's why I keep buying golden bullets. Golden bullets. That's all I do. Golden bullets.
And on a busy day, gold bullets.
We feel blessed that we have you as a fag, a friend of the Armstrong and Getty show.
And it's good to be one.
And if we and you're proud of it. If anybody needs the sort of advice that Craig gives clients, we've got a link at ArmstrongandGettyRadio.com so you can get in touch and use him like a garden tool.
Craig
Once
Gottwals,
again, thanks, guys.
The Obamacare lawyer. What's coming up in your news, Marshall Phillips?
Well, we've got a high noon meeting, an insurance summit going on at the White House. We're going to get into that, and a very weird story about a guy who fell out of a plane off the coast of Florida. We got details on those and more coming up minutes from now. Armstrong and Getty.
Yeah, the insurance summit going on at the White House. I wonder how many of those big wigs with the insurance companies are saying to the president, "What the hell are you doing?"
I bet it looks like an episode of Jerry Springer. They're coming over the table. Let me at him! Let me at him!
You're listening to the Armstrong and Getty Show.